Ashe, and welcome to another special episode of our Mandatory Mental Liberation Message series, written and produced by our esteemed elder Baba Jelani Bomani Dembe, the brilliant founder of Majestic Mind Matters University. I'm your royal narrator, Queen Magical Melanin, for this new episode. The necessity of the Mandatory Mental Liberation series at Majestic Mind Matters University lies in our focus on serving our melanin-rich culture nation. By addressing the importance of knowledge of self to produce greater self-awareness and advocating for our mental liberation, especially for our precious melanin-rich culture children, our messages aim to combat the enduring effects of generational mental enslavement stemming from the historical trauma of the chattel enslavement of the ancestors. Our initiative seeks to empower us to break free from these harmful and unfavorable legacies and cultivate a deep-rooted sense of self-identity and unwavering resilience. Each moment you spend with us is a gift, a chance to grow, to learn, to be inspired. So stay with us till the end, where the real magic happens. Now, let's get started with this very special melanin-rich culture message titled Racism, Cultivating and Promoting Our Melanin-Rich Culture and Heritage. In an age where systemic racism and oppression continually threaten the very fabric of our melanin-rich communities, it becomes not only essential but imperative for us to actively cultivate and promote our culture and heritage. This endeavor is crucial not only for our identity, but also for the mental liberation of our children and future generations. We must navigate and confront the adverse effects of historical and contemporary racism with a sense of urgency, acknowledgement, and a commitment to reclaiming the narratives and spaces that have been denied to us. Systemic racism, characterized by ingrained societal inequalities and discrimination, adversely affects our melanin-rich communities in multifaceted ways. Institutions like education, healthcare, and law enforcement often perpetuate myths that marginalize and criminalize our existence. This systemic oppression manifests itself in the mental health crises faced by our children and the community at large. Films like Jordan Peele's Get Out, 2017, and Us, 2019, serve as stark reminders of the psychological scars left by these injustices. Both films explore themes of identity and fear, reflecting our collective experiences of alienation and the trauma born from historical oppression. They challenge us to confront our fears and aspirations, forcing us to examine the realities we face and the strength we must muster to overcome them. The era of wokeness, derived from African American Vernacular English, AVE, emphasizes awareness of social injustices and societal disparities. To stay woke is to remain vigilant and engaged with the realities of our circumstances, and it is essential for our survival. The term embodies the necessity for us to reclaim our identity and our narratives. By re-engaging with our rich cultures and histories, we are better positioned to empower our children. Films such as Black KKKlansman, 2018, exemplify the urgency of this reclamation, as they depict the necessity of awareness and action in the face of enduring racism. Our cultural narrative is intricately woven into the fabric of civilization. It is critical that we, as melanin-rich peoples, acknowledge our identity's depth, connected to our motherland, Alkebulan. We must educate our communities about the richness of our heritage, the knowledge we possess, and the spiritual traditions that have been systematically dismissed or demonized in favor of colonial religions. By doing so, we honor our ancestors, particularly those unmentioned, whose lives were lost in the psychic and physical violence of chattel slavery. Their sacrifices and struggles demand remembrance and acknowledgement as we forge a future founded on resilience. We find ourselves navigating a world where the terms often used to define us, Black people, people of color, have emerged from colonial frameworks that aim to divide and oppress us further. In recognizing how these labels serve to diminish our identity, we must unite in our efforts to reclaim the narratives that are ours. Racism today is often more covert, manifesting through microaggressions and systemic barriers that dehumanize our existence. As melanin-rich individuals, we must confront these realities together, enhancing our emotional and social fortitude. For too long, we have accepted empty symbolisms in exchange for our votes and support. As evidenced by the increased apathy toward political promises that failed to manifest in tangible benefits for our communities, we demand accountability and reparations. We deserve opportunities that go beyond mere tokenism. Historic concepts like meritorious manumission, which rewarded enslaved individuals for exceptional behavior, serve as a haunting reminder that even our struggles for acknowledgement can be co-opted. These remnants of a painful past continue to reverberate in social and economic contexts today, hindering our collective progress. In this crucial moment of reclaiming our melanin-rich cultural heritage, we must band together, united in our purpose to cultivate, protect, and celebrate one another. We must prioritize strong family structures, promote relationships within our race, and support one another, whether it is our women, elderly, or the young. By doing so, we assert that we are deserving of love, respect, and dignity. It is through this collective effort that we can break the chains of historical oppression and emerge as a vibrant community, grounded in knowledge, culture, and the legacy of our ancestors. Our journey towards self-reclamation and unity must commence immediately. Our melanin-rich culture is a wellspring of strength that empowers us, reminding us that our identities are not dictated by the oppressor's narrative, but are rooted in an enduring legacy. Let us commit to nurturing our children's understanding of this heritage, for it is within this understanding that they will find the liberation needed to thrive. Jordan Peele, through his films and comedic work, has emerged as a powerful voice challenging our collective understanding of identity, race, and the psychological ramifications of social injustice. His narratives tackle the pervasive themes of racism, and we should reflect deeply on how his insights can empower our children and future generations. As individuals from a melanin-rich culture, we must unite in reclaiming our heritage and nurturing the next generation in an environment that recognizes and promotes our dignity and identity. Peele's films, such as Get Out, Us, and Nope, offer a complex examination of the social constructs surrounding race. In Get Out, we observe the harrowing experience of racial exploitation, layered beneath a veneer of liberalism. This film invites us to confront the uneasy reality of being commodified in a society that often masquerades its racism under the guise of acceptance. Such portrayals highlight the urgent need for us to recognize the psychological damage inflicted by these dynamics. By engaging with these narratives, we can illuminate the history of trauma wrought by systemic injustice, which has resulted in persistent psychological ramifications within our communities. The term, "stay woke," originating from African American Vernacular English, AV, emphasizes our need for heightened awareness and ongoing vigilance. To be woke means not only to recognize injustices, but to actively resist them. It is vital for us to internalize this message and pass it on to our children. As we reclaim our melanin-rich heritage, we foster a sense of identity that empowers our youth to understand their place in the world and to navigate it with confidence. However, the significance of this empowerment is compounded by our descendants' understanding of historical oppression. Peele's Black KKKlansman offers another lens through which we can examine the subtleties of racism and the complexities of identity. The film serves as a reminder that racism is often couched in language and political correctness, transforming into a covert force that perpetuates oppression. For us, it is essential to recognize these contemporary manifestations of discrimination and educate our children about them, armoring them against the insidious nature of systemic racism. Moreover, we must acknowledge the psychological scars resulting from the transatlantic slave trade and its ongoing impact. The trauma of chattel slavery has cast a long shadow over our collective psyche, leading to cultural fragmentation. Concepts like drapetomania illustrate the absurdity of labeling our resistance to oppression as pathological. By understanding such historical contexts, we can better comprehend the psychological struggles we face today, grappling with the residue of our stolen identities. In reclaiming our culture, we must emphasize the importance of intercommunity solidarity. Marrying within our race strengthens clan ties and nurtures a supportive environment for our melanin-rich culture. We must protect our women, children, the elderly, and those with disabilities, upholding them within a framework of respect and love. The oppressive structures we've endured are designed to fracture our unity, and healing begins with our commitment to togetherness. Moreover, we should be wary of the empty symbolisms offered in exchange for our votes. The political landscape has demonstrated countless times that merely raising a fist or delivering speeches is no substitute for tangible change. We must demand reparations and community investments that genuinely uplift our people, holding decision-makers accountable. Just as Peele's works shine a light on the discomfort of racial undertones, we too must confront the economic injustices that continue to penalize us. We must harness the rich cultural legacy that stems from Alkebulan, the birthplace of civilization, and educate our children about their ancestral roots with pride. As guardians of this heritage, it's our duty to confront the manifestations of racism, foster resilience, and build a future that honors our ancestors while paving the way for empowered descendants. Through awareness, unity, and reclamation, we can cultivate a generation that recognizes and affirms their worth, thus shaping a new narrative that honors our melanin-rich culture for generations to come. Let us stay woke, unifying globally in our efforts to reclaim and revitalize our identity as a foundational step toward liberation. The conclusion in this special Majestic Mind Matters University Mandatory Mental Liberation Message series is titled, Acknowledge and Memorialize: Navigating the Silent Struggles of Our Ancestors and Addressing Modern Racism for Mental Liberation. In our collective journey to reclaim our identity, we stand united in acknowledging the silent struggles of our ancestors who suffered in a system designed to oppress and dehumanize. We recognize that the legacy of racism, especially in its more covert forms, by addressing the historical and contemporary manifestations of discrimination, such as the concept of drapetomania, invented to pathologize the flight of enslaved Africans. We find the impetus to not only remember our roots, but also to ensure the mental liberation of our communities, particularly for our precious children. As melanin-rich people, we must confront the ramifications of systemic racism that manifest in everyday realities. Covert discrimination, often cloaked in language and policies that seem benign, affects our access to opportunities, healthcare, and justice. Films like Jordan Peele's Get Out 2017 encapsulate this experience by illustrating how racism seeps into personal relationships and societal expectations. We watch as the protagonist navigates an insidious reality where microaggressions and cultural exploitation culminate in a horrifying attempt to erase his identity. Such portrayals force us to confront the discomforting truth about our existence within a society that often wields racism in subtle, damaging ways. Further, in Us 2019, Peele presents a chilling allegory of duality and the threats trapped within our societal psyche. The film's exploration of class and race dynamics resonates with our experience of being both visible and invisible, an existence fraught with the peril of being hunted while simultaneously ostracized. These narratives reflect the internal battles we face as we reconcile our heritage with a contemporary world that often marginalizes our voices. To navigate this treacherous landscape, we must reclaim our melanin-rich cultural heritage and foster a sense of identity that honors our ancestors. This reclamation plays an essential role in our mental liberation. The historical concept of meritorious manumission exemplifies how the structural dynamics of oppression continue to subjugate our people. The idea that a few individuals could gain freedom at the expense of collective suffering underscores how fragmented our communities can become when we pursue individualistic goals rather than collective liberation. Our response to these systemic injustices is to unite, encourage marriages within our own race, and fortify bonds that preserve our cultural integrity. As stewards of our communities, it is our responsibility to protect our women, children, elderly, and disabled. By fostering a robust sense of unity, we can cultivate a generation that proudly acknowledges their roots while being equipped to challenge the suppressive narratives handed to us by colonizers and oppressors. In this context, we also seize the opportunity to honor the names of those ancestors whose sacrifices remain unrecognized. The innovators, visionaries, and ordinary people who faced horrific devastation during chattel enslavement deserve our remembrance. We must memorialize the ancestors who suffered anonymity or died at the hands of secret societies, reminding ourselves that their lives hold the keys to our identity. The psychological scars of our shared history, exacerbated by phenomena like Stockholm Syndrome, manifest in our lives today, causing feelings of dislocation and loss. An increased awareness of our history empowers us to reject divisive labels such as Black people, people of color, or African, terms created to perpetuate systems of division and discrimination. We recognize that true liberation begins with understanding our collective identity as descendants of Alkebulan, the birthplace of civilization. By embracing our original spirituality and the teachings of our ancestors, we can reject the religions imposed upon us by outsiders that dilute our cultural essence. Today, we find ourselves demanding more than mere symbolism in exchange for our votes. We demand tangible changes that reflect our worth. The playful yet piercing satire of films like Black KKKlansman 2018 and Candyman 2021 underscores how racial politics are superficially addressed, while the core issues remain unmet. As we examine our relationship to the past and present, we acknowledge the urgency of mental liberation, reclaiming all that has been stripped from us and understanding that our road to healing requires a commitment to recognize both our pain and our power. In conclusion, we stand firm in our commitment to memorialize our ancestors' struggles while addressing the modern realities of racism and oppression. By navigating this landscape together, with vigilance, respect for our history, and a commitment to mental liberation, we ensure that future generations inherit a legacy of resilience and pride in their melanin-rich heritage. Our awakening, or staying woke, is not merely a call to consciousness, but a rallying cry for action, unification, and reclamation of our rightful place in history and beyond. I'm your royal narrator, Queen Magical Melanin. We trust that this very special message has expanded your understanding through the insights shared by our highly esteemed producer, Elder Baba Jelani Bomani Dembe, founder of Majestic Mind Matters University, in our Mandatory Mental Liberation Series special message. Remember this, it is essential to honor the ancestors. We have a unique connection to the ancestors. They endured many unwarranted struggles, preserved our melanin-rich culture, and passed down invaluable wisdom through many generations. By honoring the ancestors, we pay honorable tribute to our roots and draw great strength and much-needed inspiration from the unwavering resilience and royal legacy that has paved the way for our present and future generations. Ancestral reverence is a powerful way for us to continually uphold our own melanin-rich identity, heritage, and cultural legacy. Here is an ancient Alkebulan proverb to keep in mind. If you think you are too small to make a difference, you have not spent the night with a mosquito. Remember this as well, whenever you are in the presence of anyone, saying, they don't see color, it actually means, they don't see you. We acknowledge and honor the indigenous name of our glorious continent as Alkebulan. This name means Mother of Mankind. In various Alkebulan languages such as Akuyu, Swahili, and Kemet, referring to ancient Egypt, and rejecting the terms Africa or African. As royal members of our melanin-rich culture nation, we must strive for knowledge of self for greater personal awareness. Always treat yourself kindly and seek to live a totally awesome and gloriously fulfilling melanin-rich culture life. The only way to do great work is to love what you do. So, like, subscribe to stay updated, and share this very special melanin-rich culture link with everyone that you care about and that really cares about you and all of yours as well. And thank you for listening to this enchanting special message. Stay woke. Ashe.